I don't want to say this because Ryan Reynolds kind of drives me nuts, but hey, I'm Allison Foreman.
I'm John Wynn from Nerd Reactor.
And I'm a features writer at IndieWire. I used to write at the AV Club and Mashable. I used to review video games.
And I am a Tomato Meter approved film critic.
And today we're talking about video game adaptations.
We're going to be diving deep into the good stuff and the bad stuff, so let's check it out.
I've been playing games my entire life. The first game I guess I ever played was one of the original Doom games on my dad's lap. I was a toddler and he had, like an original PC setup.
So I guess my relationship with video games and movies and TV, it all started when I was a kid, and it helped me just be entertained and just share things with other people, with friends.
I became a professional games critic after I graduated from college. I studied computer science, where I actually designed a couple video games in college. And yeah, then I got to critique them for a while, and now I mostly focus on movies and TV, but they have a special place in my heart.
Do I like video game adaptations? I guess it depends on the movies, because sometimes I'm watching it, it can really piss me off. Or I'm watching it like now, the recent stuff, and I'm blown away by just how they pulled it off.
I think video game adaptations for me have started to really resemble Disney live action adaptations. Now when it really gets pulled off well, that is a really pleasant surprise. So yeah, I think I'm skeptical, but I'm open to a happy accident.
At the time of filming this episode, I have not seen Minecraft The Last of Us Season 2, and I have not seen Until Dawn yet.
Where are we?
Wait, who are you again?
Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison. Gamer of the Year 1989. Whatever. I barely think about it.
Preteens everywhere rejoice.
Minecraft it's interesting because in the game, it's a sandbox game. You can create pretty much anything in this voxel world. Voxel meaning the graphics, doesn't have to be the best, and people still love it because this is a world where like the sky is the limit, and so now you're gonna take that and put into a movie, and so that's gonna be tricky.
Fine, yeah. I'm waiting on the Stardew Valley adaptation more, but no, I like Minecraft. I'll be curious to see, people undercut things like the Angry Birds movie. Angry Birds movie kind of slapped. And so I'm sort of holding out hope. I mean, like you look at, the way that people underestimated Lego Batman. I sort of think this is sort of in that space where it could surprise a lot of people in a really good way.
I think if they can pull off just a fun adventure with just having characters that they've experienced in the game come to life here, I think it'll be good. So it can either go really, really bad or, well.
You know what he did.
So, The Last of Us Season 2 is coming up.
I am lucky enough to have seen the first episode, and I did love the first episode.
If you've played The Last of Us 2, you're either in the camp of screw this game or, oh, this game is amazing and I love what Neil Druckmann has done with the story. Because The Last of Us 2, it's all about the repercussions of your actions, and it's like a revenge story of when is enough enough? It can be a never-ending cycle of just misery and destruction. And with revenge, that means people are gonna die, and it's gonna like tug on your emotions because like, some characters like, oh, I enjoyed this character, and then it just rip it out of you.
I think it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I think that game had significant controversy surrounding it because I think it appealed to a really wide audience, and then it leaned into queer representation in a way that I think is really important. And the show is doing the same thing, and I think that's gonna, separate the men from the boys, so to speak. I think people who really kind of understand what that show's about and understand what that type of storytelling should be about are gonna be in it for the long haul. But, we might lose some losers, but it'll be okay.
My prediction for the Rotten Tomato score, high 90s.
I'll go ahead, I'll give it an 84. I think 84 seems fair.
If we want to survive,
Oh my God.
we have to make it until dawn.
I want out.
Until dawn.
Let's talk about Until Dawn. That one is going to be tricky because Until Dawn is a video game where your actions is saved and you have to live through your actions because it's a horror game. Going on vacation in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, your mission is to try to, you control these different characters and make sure they're okay and make sure they survive a killer. And if they die, the game saves, and so you're gonna have to live with your actions on the video game. So like, oh, I can't bring them back. In the movie, they want to do it where there's like a hourglass, and when they die, they get to go back to life and figure things out, find out who the killer is before they die forever. And I think with that one, it's a very different take than the video game, so that might have some gamers or some fans of Until Dawn upset because of the changes in the core mechanics of that.
Okay, so here's my take on Until Dawn, and here's my take on any sort of choose your own adventure. We have a bunch of different outcome games. Inherently, that is going to be really hard to adapt. I look at something like the movie Terra, which did terribly, which technically I guess is a game adaptation. Something like that where you're talking about different types of personalities and different types of decision making and how that impacts your outcome. I think anything like that narratively is going to be a little hard to wrestle. I'll be curious to see what they decide is the definitive ending of that game, because I've gotten pretty much every version of that game. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how cynical they go.
The biggest challenge of adapting a video game into a movie or TV show is how do we make a story out of this, especially when it's a game that is very light on story. Like Mario, the main thing about Mario is he's coming to save the princess. He's got to defeat Bowser, but then you got to add like a whole other layer of just stories, of subplot, and all that.
Ooh, I mean, that's the $1 million question. The main problem, I think, when you go back through the history of video game adaptations, especially in the 90s, is you're dealing with a lot of people who really decided to try and play with all of the set pieces, but then didn't have the narrative emotion tying everything together. You know, when you have a video game that takes 20 hours to play, you get a lot of time to get emotionally connected to those characters. The same way when you like read a book, you spend a lot of time with those characters. And I think in a lot of ways that was a harder thing to translate to a feature length for a long time. But I think we're in a really exciting renaissance now and people are really figuring it out.
Because the video game is all about being that person, being that character. And one of the popular genres out there for video games are like first-person shooters, first-person adventures. It's you are that person. For example, Master Chief in Halo, you're a Master Chief. You're out there, you're kicking ass, you're trying to defeat the Covenant. And then if they were trying to adapt that into a TV show, for example, Paramount Plus with the Halo series, you have Master Chief, but then the whole time he's taking off his helmet. And I think for me, I'm like, that's not Master Chief. I don't want to see his face. I think that takes away from that. But I know that if you're not a fan of the video games, you just watch it, you might enjoy it. But gamers are very hardcore about the adaptations. Like they're very, very picky about certain things.
I think if I had to pick a favorite, I don't want to say this because Ryan Reynolds kind of drives me nuts, but I think it might be Detective Pikachu. I think I have a really distinct fondness for that particular blend of noir and Pokemon. It's really funny. I think a lot of people forget that fundamentally that entire storytelling franchise is trying to justify cockfighting as the central, driving plot point for a children's show. And I think there's just something about how much I really loved Detective Pikachu and that really reigniting a love for that franchise for me. Cause I'm not a Pokemon Go girl. I never really got into it, but for whatever reason, I really, that particular blend. And there's been like 20 Pokemon movies. There's one like every year for the record. We could just talk about those. The Pokemon movie from 1999. I remember watching that movie and being completely dazzled by it. And I'm sure, at the time, I didn't appreciate any of the things that I appreciate it now, but I didn't think Pokemon could have such an aggressive philosophical underpinning. And ultimately, I think that, that always gave a lot of life to that franchise for me in a way that was really different as a kid in the 90s. But yeah, I love that movie.
Fallout, Arcane, Sonic the Hedgehog, those are all great adaptations. Those are like the recent stuff, the recent films, recent shows that's come out. But for me, my favorite adaptation, video game adaptation, is Mortal Kombat, the 95 version. That was, I think, my first introduction to like, wow, we can have a faithful video game movie. This concept of Mortal Kombat is simple because you got these combatants fighting for the Earth realm here. to defeat the Outworld, Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung. Simple concept, have these characters fight in a tournament and defeat the bad guys and win. And I think with the movie, it captures all that, being faithful to the characters, also being entertaining, because I think it's a fun movie.
I am terrible at Mortal Kombat. I am so bad.
That whole time period, the 90s, there were so many of these fighting games that were getting adapted. There is plenty of really cool live action work that was done, but I look at something like Street Fighter 2, that's a beautiful piece of work, and that's all animated, you know? So I think in many ways that was a bigger success point then. Yeah, but Mortal Kombat is amazing.
Yeah, it is 47% rotten.
No, I mean, it's not a good movie.
I feel the critics are wrong in this one because it's like one of the best video game adaptations ever. And sure, they can talk about the performances in terms of the acting, but I love it.
What we really need is a really good missed adaptation. Free Crash Bandicoot, Stardew Valley. Firewatch was something that they were talking about adapting for a long time. There's a game called Gone Home. We need Neopets. Maybe we don't need Neopets. We all crave The Sims being properly adapted. I think we can all appreciate that.
They are doing The Sims.
What? I'm sorry. I'm over here just saying movies that are already happening.
The worst video game adaptations of all time.
Worst video game adaptation of all time. Dog, I hate to say it, Borderlands is up there. It's really bad. And it's a bummer because I'm usually such an Eli Roth apologist.
God, I hate this planet.
It's bad because it's bland. It's that insecurity, right? You can't be insecure. Some of my favorite movies were made by people who seem to have never seen a movie. Because you can make completely ridiculous decisions. Sometimes people make the cataclysmic bad decisions, and I think video games have definitely given people some really, really good fodder for that type of material. But in the end, to me, it's worse if it's bland. You can go for broke and it can end up at least being an interesting artifact. But if you play it safe and you make, something nobody cares about, it's just, kind of a loss for everybody, I guess.
I would say it's Halo for me. Like, that just annoyed me. I'm like, this pisses me off with how they portrayed Master Chief. And The Witcher, like, I had hope. I enjoyed the first season, but as the seasons go on, and with the storytelling and how they do the characters, I'm like, this is whatever they're doing to The Witcher. I can't do it anymore. So I gave up on The Witcher. Let's see what else is there. See, like, Street Fighter is way down there, but that's like my favorite craptastic video game movie. It's so bad, but it's good. On Rotten Tomatoes, 11%. I get it. Like, the story and the performances, it's not the best. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I love Jean-Claude Van Damme. I love his cheesy acting. I love his one-liners, his jokes. It reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, where it's like, where did they come up with these lines? And I think one of my favorite lines in Street Fighter is,
Colonel, are you all right?
I'm okay. I'm just half dead.
And Bison?
All dead.
all dead. It's a fun time. There's an interesting thing about video game adaptations, whether you want to adapt it closely to the original video game or be given free reign to do whatever you want, but still stay faithful.
One-to-one adaptation moments can be great. So in something like The Last of Us, when you look at the opening, that's a classic example of one-to-one where you're seeing truly the actual cinematography that happened within the game during those cutscenes mirrored on set. And that's really cool. That's amazing to see. But that's also a show that expanded and had a whole episode about characters that don't exist in the games at all. And it was, one of the most successful episodes of that show, and everybody fell in love with, adorable farmer Nick Offerman. So I think sometimes it's that balance of being able to expand and pull back.
You can be like a nitpicky gamer where you'd be like, oh, Joel's holding the gun this way, and how he reacts to the gun in the video game is different than how Pedro Pascal as him reacts in the show.
And again, one-to-one adaptations of anything don't really work for us. Look at the Lion King experiment, right? That did well at the box office. It pleased plenty of people who needed to get to the theaters to take their kids to go see something, but it didn't necessarily make this lasting connection. It didn't explore the material to the same breadth. And I think that's a big part of it, is being able to pay homage, but also expand and own something without betraying it. I think if I had to give advice to a director who was approaching a video game adaptation, particularly if it was a big deal video game adaptation, if it was the kind of thing that they would potentially get in trouble for if they got it wrong, I think I would give them the same advice that I give people when they start learning a video game, which is, you have to think about the mechanics, you have to think about what you're doing, but you can't panic when you remember that you're playing a video game. I think sometimes these people, they love these properties so much across the board in all of these different film departments that they almost panic because they remember that they're making a movie too often and it looks insecure. I think if your movie looks insecure, that's the quickest way to set yourself up for a fail. I think you should make some people mad. I think you shouldn't necessarily just strive for it to not be rotten, but I think you should strive for it to find its audience and its singular perspective and have confidence in that. I think that's good advice for anything, but yeah, don't get in your own head.